Hello, Glenn and Karen here, working on the bus course. And what else would we be doing but working on the bus? Because working on the bus is great, isn't it, honey?
Yes.
Don't you love it when I work on the bus?
Yes.
Yes, yes, she loves it when I work on the bus. Those are scripted lines, just so you know. Anyway, so
I didn't say that.
so today I'm going to do a video on the shower. I've been sitting there with the shower undone for quite some time. I've already got the 1/2-inch cement board installed, and that's been installed for probably over a year. And so I've got it sealed behind the cement board. The cement board is attached to the 3/4-inch OSB, and then the of course the shower head and stuff like that's already installed. And the cement board is waterproof itself, so you can almost just use the shower without even putting tile on it. Of course, I wouldn't suggest that, but theoretically, it's watertight enough for that. So the cement board doesn't need any red guard or any kind of sealer like that. The corners are sealed behind it, so the water can't get into the wall beyond the cement board. And then that's all shedded down into the actual shower base. So I've already started the tile, and I kind of wish I'd have done some video of that. The only problem is that sometimes I just get to working on something, I just start tearing into it. And so I did that with the shower. I didn't really, start out to make a video on it per se. But I'm about halfway through it now, so I'm going to show a video here on where I'm at with it, how I'm doing it, and how it's looking so far. So thanks for watching, everybody. Take care. Okay, so I'm out here in the shop, and I've already cut a lot of my tile. So I've got this little diagram here that I drew up that has, I've got the sizes of the tile on here, and I've numbered them actually with Roman numerals on the edges. And the only reason I was able to go this far with it is because I already have these 2 tiles installed, so I was able to just measure over. I wouldn't try to really literally just cut an entire wall, because you never know when you're putting the tile on, you might be off, somewhere just a little bit. Anyway, so I started to make this corner shelf by laminating 2 pieces of tile together, and then what you would do is you would mortar, or grout this into the wall, and then you'd trim the tiles around it and things like that in order to install this. And it's a pretty nice setup. And then you'd put a face piece on here, and you'd have it so the water would run off, and maybe have it a little bit low here so it would actually create a drip edge. Anyway, stuff like that. But I decided against this, and one of the reasons I decided against it is because even this 45-degree piece here is too large for the tile, for the design that I have. So I'd literally have to cut off like another inch off the side here, so then it would be a pretty small triangle, and I could make 2 of them or 3 of them or whatever. So instead of this shelf, I decided to make some shelves out of stainless steel. Now this has got some glue on it here I need to clean off. I haven't done that yet. I probably should have done that before I created this video to make it look better. But anyway, I'll get that glue cleaned off. But basically, this stainless steel shelf is going to go in the corner, and I've actually made 2 of them. And some bus converters might recognize this piece of stainless that I took these shelves off of. This piece here was vertically mounted in the bus. So this piece was next to the entrance door. And basically it was the piece that was set up for the double doors that open into the bus instead of the single sedan door, which I installed and have now. So I saved some of the stainless out of that, taking all those doors out, and so basically I was able to take this piece here, and I was able to cut these 2 shelves out of it. As you can see here, there was one, there's the other, and the other one's inside. But the reason I cut it this shape here is because I had a hole here, so I didn't want a hole there. So basically I got 2 shelves out of this, and I was watching YouTube video. The way I got this idea, so I was watching a YouTube video, and Schluter, a company that makes tile accessories or tile parts, or parts for doing tile work, and they have a stainless steel shelf that you can buy and install, and it's obviously, you know, larger than these shelves, but the way it works is you just do your tile, and before you put your grout in, you can install these shelves and just grout the shelves right into place, with the exception of maybe using some silicone in some places. But so basically what I'll end up with is 2 shelves. This one I have to trim, or well, the top one I have to actually trim down just a little bit. Well, maybe I don't have to, but anyway. So I have these 2 shelves in here for shampoo and stuff. And what I'll do eventually is I'm going to make a little kind of a fence barrier around this thing, just so water doesn't set in it. But then maybe the shampoo will stay in it while we're driving or whatever. Mainly it'll be for when you're parked. So these shelves will actually mount in place inside the grouted joint, and they'll be grouted in, and they'll be plenty solid. So anyway, so that's it for the shelves for now. I'll install those later. But what I've got going here is I've got my back wall installed, and I went ahead and tiled my corner here, my 45-degree corner that has, well, anyway, that's in a previous video, I think, but there's quite a few reasons why I have this corner here, this 45. But anyway, I got this 45 here, and I literally just mounted these tiles here up to the ceiling material, and these are 1 foot by 2 foot tiles. And you know, I put the mud on the ceiling with the 1/2-inch notch trowel, and then I back buttered the tile also with the notch trowel. And when I did that, I back buttered the tile in the same direction as the lines on the ceiling, so that way it catches more of the when it goes mortar to mortar, there's more contact there. And I put these tiles up here, and they literally just stuck right in place, and I didn't have to brace them or anything. They stayed just fine. Same thing with these tiles. These tiles here, I did put one of those little rubber spacers at the bottom because it was trying to slide down. But the ones that were straight, flat on the ceiling, they literally just stayed exactly where they were once I stuck them. Of course, I had to shift them around a little bit to make sure they're stuck good. And so that came out really good. So I've got it's kind of a 2-tone shower, lighter here, a little bit darker gray here. Anyway, and I'll show all that when I get it done, you know, when I get it all finished. But this came out pretty good, and I'm pretty happy with it. So anyway, so as the video goes on here, we'll see how all that goes. So one of the things that mistakes that I made on this tiling job here is after I had finished, or after I had mortared all my tiles on around the base, and then I think the first 2 tiles there, and I don't remember about these 2 tiles now, but this tile is porcelain tile, and I realized after I had started, you know, putting some of this tile in, that I was using tile that's specifically made for ceramic tile. I didn't even realize there was a difference. I just didn't look that closely at it. So once I realized that, I went ahead and got some porcelain tile, and then a porcelain mortar, and then continued on. So I think it's the base ones here, those 2, and maybe these 2 that have the wrong mortar. So, but they're not coming off. They're solid. I think the biggest problem would be if this was actually a tile floor, that they might come loose later. And I don't know, with the movement of the bus or whatever. So if those tiles pop off, then I'll just have to fix them at the time. So I wasn't about to try to go through and take them off, because they are really stuck on there. So I'm just going to leave them, and I hope that I don't have any problem. But from here up, all these tiles, the ceiling, the rest of this wall, all of this wall will have the correct thin set mortar. Anyway, so it's just something to check for if you're doing this kind of work. Make sure you use the right thin set for porcelain tile. So that was kind of an unfortunate thing, but I'm continuing on, and I will not worry myself with that. And I'm going to go ahead and mix up some more mortar and get this other wall completed hopefully today. It's always a good idea to wear gloves when you're working with this thin set mortar or any kind of cement product, because the chemicals in the mortar just literally almost just, they dry out your hands so bad that they'll start to crack and things like that. And you know, I used to think, well, if I only just do a little bit, it doesn't matter. But the next day my hands would be so dry and just messed up. So I just decided to start wearing gloves doing this stuff. Now when you mix this mortar, you want to mix it really good. Let it set for about 10 minutes. I don't remember what it says on the package, but whatever it says on there. And then you got to mix it again, which I've already pretty much done. This mix here is a little bit thin, I think. I think it's going to work. And having it a little bit thinner, I don't think it's going to hurt, but it will give me a little bit more working time. This is my 1/4 inch notch trowel. Actually, I use this trowel when I tiled my entire house. I tiled all my kitchen, my laundry room, 2 bathrooms, and all my backsplashes around the tub and all that kind of stuff. And so I've done a fair amount of this kind of work, but it's always, you know, quite a bit of time in between jobs. The very first time I ever did a ceramic tile job was, I did it for a restaurant. It was a Burger Ranch restaurant here in the Yakima area. And they said, yeah, I was a contractor. And they go, well, have you ever worked with quarry tiles? Yeah, whatever, you know. And I didn't even know what quarry tile was. So I took the job, and I had to go down and pick up all the tile that they'd already ordered. Come to find out it was a ceramic tile. I figured it was some kind of a you know, glue down tile or whatever. So I ended up having to do that whole restaurant, and I didn't make very much money on it because I really didn't bid it properly, but I did make some money on it. But I did, you know, all the dining area down the hall and into the bathrooms and the whole kitchen, the whole place actually. And it came out pretty good, and that was about 30 years ago or 35 years ago, and it's still there. And so I hope that this works out and lasts just long. So I don't know how much of this you're going to be able to see, but I'm just going to go for it here anyway. I always put the mortar on the tip of the blade or the trowel to get it started and just get it on the wall. Then I'll come back through and worry about the notches and stuff like that here in a minute. I like to make sure every square inch is covered with mortar or with thin set. I really don't like to leave anything to chance if I can avoid it. Not a professional, so I get a little sloppy, but it works. So what I do after I get my tile or my thin set on the wall with the notch trowel, then I take and I back butter my tile. Now a lot of guys will back butter using the notch trowel, but I don't really think that's necessary to use all that mud. I did my entire house and all that whole restaurant this way. I just give it a smooth layer over the entire tile for the back buttering, and that usually works pretty well. And again, I'll cover the entire tile with a skim coat of thin set. You know, another thing too that I kind of screwed up on with this is I should have bought this thin set that was gray instead of this white stuff. I didn't think it really mattered so much. It doesn't matter as far as functionality goes, but if you get any mortar sticking out where your grout's going to be, it's better to have your thin set to be close or approximately to the color of your grout. That way if you screw it up and you leave some out, You're not going to have some white thin set sticking out where your grout goes. So here I use my my little tile spacers, and again, this is a personal choice thing. On a wall, you would typically use the 1/8 inch spacers here. I'm using the 3/16 ones, and the only reason I'm using the 3/16 ones is because with that spacing, that enabled me to tile that entire wall all the way to the top up to the 45 without having to cut a single tile lengthwise. So it just so happened with these spacers I was able to get that extra 5/16 of an inch to make those tiles work out just right. So I'd rather do that and not have a thin line of tile at the top or bottom. Actually, the bottom would probably be better. So instead of that, I went ahead and just spaced it just a little bit more. So now I'm kind of committed to doing the whole shower this way, so which is fine. It's just personal choice. When I set the tile, I kind of shift it around just a little bit just to give it a good, make sure it makes good contact. Then I just put my little spacers in there. Also, there's other ways of doing this too. Instead of using these particular kind of spacers, they have a spacer system that you can use that enables you to make sure your tiles are flat with each other. They have little clips that you put in, stuff like that. I mean, I could have went that route, but this back wall of the bus is concave and it's got a slight twist to it. So I just decided to just put the tiles on, get them as close as I can, and they're super close. This one here is barely just sticking out higher than the other two, things like that. But it's working out pretty well. I'm pretty happy with it. So doing this porcelain tile or ceramic tile or whatever kind you use, this is a very, very tedious process actually. There's no quick way of doing this. I mean, a professional, I'm sure, would do a lot quicker than I am, but it just is a time-consuming process. The idea here with this back lettering is just to make sure that you're going to get good contact between the tile and the grout, or the mortar, excuse me, the thin set. Plus, I'm putting my cut edges on the outside up against the wall. I'll clean the mortar out from between the tiles a little bit as I go, but it's something that you got to do thoroughly before it dries at any rate. This tile has a chip in the corner, but the reason I went ahead and kept it is because that's where I'm going to put a shelf there anyway, so it's going to be up underneath the shelf, so you won't even see it. So now that I have it up to here, I'm going to start up on this side and go up here now. All these tiles are the same size anyway, so I know these last ones are going to work. much of this you're going to see, but whatever. Also, I was a little concerned too about having these tiles here going lengthwise up and down, these going horizontally. But I think it's going to work out okay. Once it's grouted, it'll all blend. So I think it's going to be just fine. Some people may be concerned with putting such large tiles on the walls of a bus that twists and turns going down the road. And I've seen buses that have these tiles, these bigger tiles, so I'm not really afraid of it. And if they all pop off, then I'll just go to plan B once I develop a plan B. Okay, so that concludes the video on installing the tile in the shower. I'm breaking this video up into two parts because it's so large, and so I'm gonna have it so this video here is just putting the tile in, and then the next video will be grouting the tile. That should conclude the video. So thanks for watching, everybody. Take care.